All right, you're all good.
Yeah,
Okay.
so like I
So
was saying,
which are going back to that question, Anders, what are the ideal account profiles you with whom you want to work?
yeah. So any large Canadian bank, any of the top five, right? So BMO, RBC, Scotia, TD, uh, I forget the last CIBC, I worked there for fucking 5 years. Yeah. So yeah. Any of those five, like they all have Coupa. OSFI is a bit, it's a more stringent regulation than down here, the OCC regulations. And then any of the Fortune 200 insurance companies, right? Because uh, um, where we are in sort of pseudo insurance today with VSP, and again, like Coupa is prevalent throughout. So I think, and they're relatively regulated now. And then DORA is coming in, which is it's a financial services regulation in Europe. So any of these large insurance and financial services companies will need to be compliant with DORA. And again,
Okay.
that's something that we're building up towards um, right now.
And again, that's based upon the fact that you were in the banking industry. That's based upon the fact that you've actually been on the CPO side of the table.
Yeah, in both insurance and in financial services, right?
Perfect. Okay,
And
now,
because we have Fannie Mae, like we have some of the healthcare insurance companies. It's good.
right. I could get an introduction to Fannie Mae, do an interview with them. If
Absolutely.
you could do that, that
Yeah.
would be fabulous because when I'm introducing this, I want people to be able to say that I have no affiliation, so to speak, with Focal Point other than they have a good solution
Mhm.
and where they fit into the scheme thing. So, and you'd be fine with me doing an interview with them, just me with them.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. That's great. Let's focus on that. Is there another group that you want to go after, Matthew, that you'd like to attack?
I, yeah, I was thinking around the pharma area. So somebody, like AstraZeneca, um, who's the big one? Moderna, up in Boston. And the reason being, we have Otsuka Pharmaceuticals already. They're doing a very special use case there. And we expect to expand out of that as time goes on. But they're doing clinical trials, which is
Okay.
something that companies have a big issue with, especially in procurement, just generally with clinical trials, but specifically procurement and managing the different areas of the clinical trial. Um, so we are talking to Novartis already. So don't worry about that one. Roche is very deeply in with Oro as well, I believe. Um, but any of those based in North America, large pharmaceuticals. AstraZeneca is actually a UK company, but they have a huge place here in
Right.
Maryland or somewhere there,
Okay. And
near
just a
Philly
quick
anyway.
question for you on that. You're mentioning because they go through what's the company again that you're dealing with already?
Otsuka,
Okay.
Otsuka.
And what when you're saying they're going through trials on that?
They're using it for clinical trials.
They're using it
Okay.
for
So
sourcing clinical trials.
Okay.
yeah,
Clinical trials. Okay.
So,
yeah.
so John,
So
if you are
that's
familiar with it, all the clinical trials are outsourced. So basically, each clinical trial that gets done, they need to find a lead. Then also they hire subcontractors that all need to be tracked. The FDA, surprisingly, at least until the Trump takes over, is going to be very heavily regulated, right? So
Right.
they need a lot of checks and balances. And the clinical trial sourcing process changes based on the clinical trial stage, the compound you're testing, who you're testing it on, and who the regulators are. So it's a lot of complexity in that. And also, as you can imagine, when you get audited and you are audited all the time, having the right documentation is critical.
Yeah, but that comes back into your background expertise, right?
Mhm.
I
mhm.
mean, literally speaking. All right. So now, Claire, any thoughts on your part as to
As to
what you would
industries.
like to
Well,
pursue from your range?
um, look, there isn't an awful lot of substance behind the rationale, but something that I've been considering more is the retail arm. simply because we've got some good, a good story to tell in terms of customer.
Okay.
And but aside from that, I think it's there's just a lot of business there, and with the market as it is, there's opportunity. They're always looking to improve, to become more profitable, and I think ultimately spinning some of the messaging around that is something I'm exploring anyway.
I think that's a worthwhile marketplace. Certainly, it is fast growing, and you can apply. And I'll go to you, Anders and Matthew as well. You can apply the same problem solving approach to these other areas as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Maya, from a marketing standpoint, what do you see?
Absolutely. So obviously we talk about focal point as a tool that can help companies agnostic of vertical. So obviously a financial's great, banks are great, but more importantly, I think finding organizations that have large complex procurement processes. So that's what we talk about us solving. That's how we identify ourselves. So having like Otsuka, for instance, it's running really, really complex, really tedious processes and focal point. So having customers like that we're able to show, hey, like they're running clinical trials. These are incredibly detailed, a ton of data, oftentimes sensitive data. We're able to handle that. That's like our bread and butter. Is my ideal. Like that would be awesome for us to be able to create case studies and marketing language around that, and have the customers to share their stories and advocate for focal point as that kind of solution.
It sounds like
I
you have even though you're in marketing, it sounds like you have an understanding of the technology side of it. So you're not
Yeah.
just writing words that everybody
Yes.
read over and over again.
No.
You have a background in technology, which is unusual in marketing. All
Yeah.
right, so here's what I'm going to do.
Correct.
You send me the recording here. I'm going to take excerpts of this, believe it or not, and use it strategically for introduction. Your assignment, if you could, is get me 2 or 3 people that I can interview, clients like
Mhm.
Yusoga, like who are talking about there, 2 or 3. And Claire, I think there is some inroads that can be made in the retail based upon the strength of the approach, because ultimately everybody
Mhm.
is still selling features, functions, and benefits. They don't have your expertise. They don't have your
Yeah.
ability behind the bench to be able to go in there and say it's not a technology issue, it's an understanding, a process understanding issue. And we can then govern, because we have an operating system platform. We can then work it so that it adapts to your environment to achieve what I would call true supply chain resilience and adaptability and all of that. That's the
Yeah.
message that I'm going with that.
Yeah, and
Make
one thing I
sense?
would say, John,
Okay.
as well is you know, most other companies have kind of shied away from direct materials, and Claire was talking about retail as well, so merchandise. Um, Anders and I have discussed this. We don't see any reason that we shouldn't be looking at that.
Right.
If you look at a Walmart, at a Kroger, at wherever else, I don't see any problem with them running their merchandise through our solution. In fact, I think it would add them huge benefits because suddenly they're not using tribal knowledge anymore.
Right.
Now, there are systems out there that do a lot of that stuff, probably, but we just haven't really tapped into them. But that could be interesting part of the discussion as well. And if it's other companies with direct materials like manufacturing or whatever, I
Right.
don't see why we should be restricted on that side. Um, Quickly on the retail, we have Joanne Fabrics, right? So that could be an interesting one for you to talk to on that side as
Perfect.
well.
And we
Hey, would you
also
be able to get these things to me and so that I can an introduction so that I can start reaching out to them and start the recordings right away?
Mhm.
sure.
Start the interviews, because it's going to be strategically put into there. Each of you, I'm going to take snippets of this discussion we're having now and use it. Yeah, I mean, it's perfect. Look at you. I'm wearing a plaid shirt. You're wearing a checkered shirt. I mean, this is what real planning is all about. That's what people, and that I think resonates with procurement.
Mhm.
So we'll go on that. So yeah, absolutely. I agree. You're smiling there, Matthew.
I was just thinking, do we have to have a dress code next time that we're all
No,
kind of in
I
no,
don't
overalls?
know if we're on camera. Oh my goodness.
No, this is great because everyone's focused on the fact that you make everyone feel comfortable. The days of ties and suspenders are gone.
Yeah,
Thank
At
God.
least for me, they
absolutely.
are. All right. So yeah, if you could get the introductions to these this week, we'll start to do that. Meantime,